All right. Well, this is Brandon Helwig of UCFsports.com, and we've got the space game coming up on Friday against the Houston Cougars, which after UCF lost at Baylor over the weekend 30-3, this is pretty much a must-win game if UCF hopes to go to a bowl in the first season, in Scott Frost's first season back at UCF. But it won't be easy. Houston was a team that had been ranked number 22 in the nation going into this past weekend. I had a somewhat stunning home loss to West Virginia, 45-35. I believe Houston had a lot of turnovers and everything. But to learn more about Houston, I'm excited to be joined today by Ryan of GoCougs.com. Welcome, Ryan.
Howdy.
Yeah. So just first off, I know we talked a couple years ago. It's funny because UCF and Houston have been in the same conference since 2005. Conference USA, the American, and the Big 12. But when you look at it, for some reason, just the quirks of scheduling and whatnot, I went back and looked. Since the 2017 season, UCF and Houston have only met a total of 3 times.
Yeah.
That's it. Since 2017, they met in 2019, 2020, and 2023. So now it's going to be
lost. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how it goes. So have not been playing each other all that often. Yeah, so now this is the third year of Big 12 play for both schools. I know it was it meant a lot to Houston fans kind of getting left behind back in the day in the Southwest Conference. So Ryan, just kind of tell me what's kind of been the vibe amongst the fan base over these past 3 years, finally being part of the Big 12.
It's certainly been up and down, way more down than up. The last time we talked, the next day after that game, Dana Holgerson was fired after U of H's first year in the Big 12. They brought in Willie Fritz, who's a program builder, and it was bad last year, really bad. I've been covering this team for 28 years, one way or another, and that was the worst offense I've ever seen from a U of H team. And this year, people expected to be better. I think the record is a little surprising to people. The team is kind of what I thought it would be, but they've won games on the margins that made the record look a lot better than maybe what the team is. But I think fans are still kind of wait and see on Willie. I really don't think they've gone all in for him. And they've been burned, with the last 3 head coaches. So it's been slow. U of H is over the moon with basketball, but football is
like I said earlier, like when I talked to you off air, should have won the national championship last year. That was a heartbreaker. But
so that's where they're at.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned these wins have been on the margins this year. Just kind of looking over the schedule, they beat Oregon State in overtime by a field goal. Of course, everyone's beating Oklahoma State. Had a really close win against Arizona, 31-28. And then, it was arguably, it was the best win of the season, a week before last week, going on the road to Arizona State and winning in Tempe. So just kind of what's been your assessment of year 2 under Willie Fritz in terms of, you said they're winning on the margins. Is it offense, defense? Have they been playing complementary football? Have they been, winning the turnover battle? Have the balls just kind of bounced their way to win some of these close games?
It's turnovers number 1. U of H had 4 last week against West Virginia, and that's why they lost. It was a 4-0 deficit, and you're just not winning those games. In virtually every other game this season, they have won the turnover battle, with the exception of Texas Tech, I think. So they've won the turnover battle 7 times and have 7 wins. That's kind of just how it's going to go with Willie. He wants to play complementary football, turnover battle, and special teams. And if they can do that and run the ball pretty well, they think they've got a really good shot. I think they've won 3 one-score games. The Arizona game, which was a walk-off, Oregon State, which was a walk-off, and then hung on in Tempe, which feels like a month ago, but was in reality like 10 days ago.
Yeah. So what's sort of the feel? Is it just kind of feel like you said they went on the margins? Like I said, just do you feel like maybe the the top 25 ranking, which obviously is no more after losing to West
Yeah.
Virginia, did it kind of feel like it was a little bit of a false narrative, a little bit, that the team, while it's obviously, it's in the rebuilding process, has been a great season. A win is a win, right? Did you kind of feel like maybe that sort of masked where the rebuild really was, like maybe they weren't totally back, as the ranking would have indicated?
The week before Houston played Arizona State, the Sun Devils played Texas Tech, and they beat them. And fans rushed the field. They got patted on the ass for a week. They got a top 25 ranking, and then they went out and laid an egg. And the exact same thing happened for U of H in that West Virginia week. You got patted on the back all week. You got ranked, and then you went out and laid an egg. And I just don't think this team is emotionally mature enough for that yet. You've got to build, and I just don't think they're to that point. I think they've gotten a lot of the talent they have. I think there's good players. They've turned it into a good team, but maybe not what a 7-2, what you would think of a 7-2 team, if that makes any sense. So I think they're getting a lot out of what they have, but they've shown that mistakes are going to kill them. And if you turn the ball over, you're just not going to win playing the way Willie Fritz wants to play.
You mentioned maybe the fan base isn't totally sold on Willie Fritz. Yeah, just kind of expand on that. You mentioned he's a program builder. He's been highly successful pretty much everywhere he's been, from Sam Houston to Georgia Southern to Tulane. So just kind of what's been the reaction to the hire just kind of over his 2 years in Houston?
There's no pizzazz. There's no hype. Willie Fritz just wants to coach football. And in this city, maybe that's not enough. Maybe you've got to do a little bit of promotion, but it's just not who he is. He's not trying to fake it. Tom Herman was a great promoter. Dana Holgerson had a big name and some buzz around him, but Willie Fritz isn't that. And I think people have been reluctant to go in because you just don't, you don't hear from him. And then with the transfer portal, I believe they've got 104 new players over 2 years. Well, they have no connection to these players yet. And so it's just been kind of a slow build. And then U of H has really had a horrible draw at home this year. You started with the Thursday night game, then you had a Friday night game. Tech came to town, and your last 2 home games have been 11 a.m., including the day after Halloween. Not great for this city. They haven't built into events the games. And so it just, a lot of things have kind of gone against him. But if he keeps winning games, fans are going to notice and they're going to care.
Yeah, I mean, winning is the most important thing, but is that in a city like Houston, we all know it. It's a pro city. I mean, it's a little bit, even though you have the population, it can be tougher to kind of pull in the fan base. Do you kind of feel like maybe Houston needs more of a promoter, even though Tom Herman you kind of mentioned, is that sort of his personality isn't really a fit when you're trying to get the casual fans to come back and support Houston football?
Yeah, it's just not who he's going to be. And a football coach's job has always been a lot more than on the field. Right now, it's raising money for NIL. Working in this community, Fortune 500 companies, recruiting, transfer portal. There's so many things taking his time. He's just not going to fake it to try to bring people in on something that's not real. Tom Herman was really, really good at that, and people now can't stand him. I think authenticity will go a long way, but it's not a quick fix.
Yeah. Just kind of talk to me about the makeup of this year's roster. You mentioned the 100 new players over 2 years. Obviously, this was a big transfer portal year as well. Connor Wegman, from former 5-star recruit at Texas A&M, I guess has been the key piece. But just kind of what's been the key to the success? Has it been, the transfer portal for Willie?
Oh, for sure. So I believe 8 transfers started on offense to begin the season. So 4 offensive linemen, a tight end, a receiver, running back, and quarterback. Connor Wigman is the emotional center of the team. They would be nowhere without him. He came into this year with the reputation of being injury prone, and he was in concussion protocol for a week and then came out right out of that and played great, and has played great up until that West Virginia game. He had 3 turnovers. It was like he couldn't grip the ball. There was an issue holding on to it. He was floating passes. There was obviously something there, but he played through it. And he threw a pick 6 that went 80 yards and kind of broke their back. But he's been the reason that you've gotten to 7 wins. He's got a tight end named Tanner Kojal, who's 6'7", who catches everything thrown in his direction. He came from Ball State and then went and spent 1 semester at Wisconsin and then transferred to Houston. And another receiver, number 0, you're going to see him all over. His name is Amari Thomas, transferred from UAB. All that guy does is score touchdowns and pick up first downs. They are the 2 security blankets in his offense for him. The defense has been really a keep it in front of you defense, and they were bitten last week. They didn't keep everything in front of them and gave up 45 points to a freshman quarterback at West Virginia who probably should not be scoring 45 points.
All right, UCF, they hammered West Virginia just a couple weeks ago and everything. You mentioned the tight end and wide receiver. So who are some other players to watch on offense for Houston?
The starting running back is a guy named Dean Connors. He transferred from Rice. He's dating Miss Nevada. Just throw that out there. Yeah, good for him. And he juggles. So he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He does everything. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He runs hard for his size. And he's a good blocker. I think he can do a lot of things that U of H needs a running back to do. The rest of that running back room is really beat up. You lost your real starter before the season. 3 others have had injuries. So it's kind of been, piece things together in the running game. Your number 1 receiver coming into the season is also out for the year. And so you're leaning on Tanner Kojal, the tight end, and Amari Thomas, the wide receiver. And then they're having a true freshman and a redshirt freshman kind of pick up the slacks on the outside. Haven't seen consistency from either of those guys yet, but they're building. And there's going to come a breakout game. I don't know if it's the space game Friday night, but they're coming.
Yeah. So, and then when you look on the Houston defense, so you said it's primarily been kind of keeping everything in front of them. So what's kind of been the vibe about how the defense has performed overall, and who are some of the top players to watch on that side?
Most people thought that the defense played really well through 4 games. There has been some kind of regression on that. They've been pretty solid up front, a lot of transfer guys. And then at linebacker, there's a guy that's been here for 5 years, and he's finally having the opportunity to show what he can do.
And that's rare. I mean, you don't hear that anymore. A guy being at one program for 5 years, that's rare.
I think there's 3 on this roster: a linebacker, the long snapper, and a running back he's been injured. I think he'll be back for this game, but that's it. And they've gone through a couple head coaches and complete upheaval in this program, and have stuck with it. So yeah, it's not a ton of guys that do that, especially here. But the defensive line, I think, has really powered this defense. If they can get a reasonable effort out of them, they're going to have a chance. And, Willie Fritz wants to get this to the 4th quarter. That's his MO and what he's going to try to do. And if they can get to the 4th quarter, they've been pretty good at snatching a win.
Yeah, in UCF, I don't know how much research you've done yet, but it's kind of a tale of 2 teams, whether it's been at home or whether it's been on the road. They played pretty well at home and just dreadful on the road. Baylor, I know their offense is good, but their defense was not. And UCF had really their worst offensive performance probably in 10 years, didn't even score a touchdown.
Right.
That was just dreadful to watch. But and then a little bit about UCF's space game. It's been a fun tradition. They're a perfect 8-0, and no matter whether the season's not going according to plan or not, if it's the space game, they faced nationally ranked Oklahoma State 2 years ago, and they brought in Arizona last year, and were blowout wins against both. So they kind of have that luck on their side. So what's kind of the Houston vibe about going into this weekend? Obviously coming off a disappointing loss, kind of wondering, exactly where this team is. I know the record, obviously appears solid, but you're kind of wondering where the team goes from here. So
Yeah.
what are kind of your feelings about this game? Like, what needs to happen for Houston to be successful? And have you thought about maybe going so far as having a score prediction? Who do you think will win or lose?
Well, number one, U of H fans typically are kind of pissed off about this space game thing. They think that Houston should host
and
the space game.
Dana brought that up a couple years ago, I remember, on his radio show.
No, screw Dana. Yeah. Anyways, they're 8-0, I think you said, in the space game. U of H is 3-2 at home, but 4-0 on the road this year.
That's weird.
It's wild. So I don't know how to explain that. I really don't. This game, I think I'm curious to see if U of H players take this as an opportunity to get it right, but also to not let one bad game beat you twice. And in the last 5 or 6 years, that's what's happened with U of H, is a bad performance, and it just kind of snowballs. Can they get it right and get it right on the road? I did not expect a ton in road wins this year. Certainly 4 is way more than I expected. But they've got UCF, and then they go to Baylor. And so we'll see if they can pull either of those off. As far as predictions, I don't really do score predictions. I am surprised. I think I saw that U of H is favored.
They are.
That surprises me. That's trapped in the moment because of a 30-3 game. I don't know if I'd buy on that. But I think it'll be a close game, probably into the fourth quarter, and then it's just taking advantage of what opportunities you have.
Yeah, I know you told me you're a big golfer, right? And you're coming down to Orlando to hit up some
Yep.
courses. Do you have some favorite courses you've hit in this area? Or are you checking out some places for the first time, or what?
This is the first time. I don't make this trip a lot. I did not. I mean, like you said, it's only been played 3 times in 8 years. I think the last time I was there was 2014 or 15. So it's been a while. I don't really know where I'm going. I've got it obviously booked, but I don't have any
okay.
I don't have anything to share on this one.
Okay. I didn't know if you had a favorite course. There's great courses around Texas.
Yep.
I know, obviously, being a warmer weather state and everything. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you taking your time. I know you got to get ready to cut down to Orlando, but I enjoyed learning more about Houston, and I'll look for you on on Friday night.
Friday night. Yeah.
All right. Take care, Ryan.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Brandon.
Thanks.